The mountain swallows you whole. No warning, zero visibility, 3 alarms, 1 choice. The rescue point vanished under a snow wall below. 2 hours ago, this was supposed to be a standard shift at the SAR base. Dispatch marks it as routine mountain extraction, 1 casualty, a standard SAR rescue call. 40 seconds after liftoff, the weather flips. The Met officer screams a new front inbound. The route marked safe is now a trap between 2 avalanche corridors closing in fast. You drop into an air pocket. Altitude bleeds faster than your hands react on the collective. A rock face fills the windshield with no time to maneuver. Muscle memory takes over. 2 options, both bad. Climb into the storm or thread the rotors through a mountain split. You take the split. The blade clears the ice wall by 3 feet. The airframe shudders. The de-icing system kicks on. Without it, blade ice builds like lead weight in 60 seconds. You hit the grid square. A survival strobe blinks below through a gap in the canopy. Crosswind hover above the trees. Rotor wash bends the pines and the tail swings constantly. The rescue swimmer descends the hoist cable. You hold position foot by foot, second by second. The casualty panics on the slope, shoves the rescue swimmer away, and starts sliding backward. Dispatch orders abort. You are in the LZ, and turning back means losing him for good. One crewman says we are losing them. The other says stay and lose everyone. You hold. You break protocol for the first time this shift. Ignore the abort order and hold position. The radio picks up tapping under the snow. Survivors are alive, and the clock is burning. The casualty reaches the hoist harness. You feel the pendulum shift through the whole airframe. You bank toward the hospital. Fuel is in the red. No refuel stop is possible. Dispatch confirms the hospital pad is clear. You start descent and run the approach checklist. The autopilot drops out mid-approach. Your hands snatch the controls before the nose pitches. Navigation loses orientation. Mountain and sky merge into one white blank across every display. Vibration builds hard through the pedals. You cannot tell if the machine is flying or falling. One sensor reads descent, the other reads climb. The system contradicts itself. You trust neither. You land on radio beacons alone. Contact is harder than normal, but skids find the pad. Medics take the casualty. You stay in the seat running the fault log without shutting down. The ground tech flags a crack in the antenna housing. Impact damage from the hard landing. Maintenance clears you to continue. Second flight is authorized, and the shift clock resets. The mountains vanish. The helicopter sits inside a white void with no horizon and no reference. You navigate by vibration and engine pitch. Your eyes give you nothing useful up here anymore. A wind gust rotates the aircraft sideways toward the slope. You counter with full left pedal. An avalanche releases below. A snow cloud swallows the airframe and the engines start coughing. Snow dust chokes the intake filters. You push power and climb before the engines lose grip. You orbit the area searching for a descent corridor. Every approach angle has an obstacle. Found it. A narrow slot between 2 rock faces, 60 seconds of precise flying to thread. You land on the ledge. The rotor tip clears the rock wall by 10 feet. 2 casualties on the ledge, rated for 1, and the medic is already assessing both. Decision. Take the head trauma. The second casualty waits for the ground team behind you. Loading is blocked. The stretcher angle does not clear the door because of the ledge geometry. The crew manually pivots the helicopter 15 degrees. That angle opens the door frame enough. Patient aboard. Fuel hits the red band and the nearest refuel point is 17 miles out. The coordinator screams over the radio to turn back, calls it suicide. You switch frequencies. You calculate the fuel margin, direct to the trauma center, skip the stop. It barely works. Dispatch warns a third call is queued. Mountain search, 2 hikers missing. The timer is running. A second avalanche releases above the evacuation zone. The exit route is gone in 10 seconds. Radio update. The first survivor group has moved directly into the new avalanche path below. You realize saving one group may put the aircraft directly over the other group below. Mid-flight, the patient loses pulse. The flight medic starts CPR in the cabin with no room. You push airspeed to the structural limit. The airframe vibrates at the edge of its envelope. On final approach, another helicopter sits on the trauma pad. You go around, burning 2 minutes. You land on the rooftop backup pad. The patient transfers to the trauma team right away. You hold at idle and wait. You need to know if that decision was right. 4 systems at the limit at once. Fuel, weather, comms, and the mountain landing zone pending. The helicopter loses altitude faster than the evacuation moves. You push power hard and hold. One person slips the hoist harness mid-air. The operator locks the cable with both hands. At 6,000 feet, the turbine loses power. Thin air starves it. You shed the load. The rescue swimmer jumps from the cabin into snow. The aircraft lightens and the turbine recovers. You hover over the hiker in the ravine. Rotor tip 12 feet from the canyon wall. The hoist brings him up. No gloves, frostbite on both hands, but conscious and responding. The second hiker is found by the ground team, alive, dehydrated, guided down the slope. Base splits the remaining calls. A second crew lifts off and the workload finally starts dividing. Dispatch absorbs all ground crew comms. You only hear decisions that need your direct input. The Trauma Center coordinator has the OR prepped using data you sent during the flight. Weather opens a 40-minute window before the next front. You take the direct routing now. Direct routing cuts 11 minutes off the previous track. Every minute is hard currency here. 2 heavy-lift helicopters crest the ridge. Searchlights flood the snowfield, and the pressure shifts. The arriving medics take over. You step back, and your legs register the full weight. It feels like the worst is over. Then the mountain hiker starts losing core temperature. You land at base and cut the engine. Silence after 7 hours of turbine noise hits. The ground check finds the antenna crack has widened. Scheduled maintenance becomes mandatory now. You fill the incident report for 3 flights. Every paragraph demands exact data, no approximation. The Trauma Center calls your first patient survived surgery, and the prognosis is now positive. News on the road patient, critical injuries still in intensive care, and the outcome is unknown. The girl rescued in the mountains turns from a departing aircraft and waves at you. You try to smile. The face does not cooperate, stuck between relief and total exhaustion. The debrief reviews your call to skip the refuel. The risk calculation is checked and cleared. The smoke approach landing is logged as non-standard and added to the crew training incident database. The maintenance log records 14 abnormal events this shift. The standard threshold is only 3. You open your locker. A family photo inside, the exact opposite of everything this shift was. Your reflection in the dark hangar window looks 10 years older than the face that started today. A helicopter sound in the distance makes you flinch, a reflex with absolutely no off switch. You hang your keys on the hook and the hangar light goes out behind you. The flight corridor had a gap between 2 avalanche waves lasting less than 90 seconds total. Any ground delay, a gear check. Extra paperwork, 1 signature, puts you inside wave 2. The first rescue point was buried before arrival. You flew straight into a moving catastrophe. Being a SAR pilot is not about the headlines or any medal hanging on the wall. It is about making calls that could put you before an inquiry board the very next morning, and making them anyway, because those calls are why someone gets to go home tonight. Up there, the only real authority is physics and your will to keep the machine flying. And physics, every single shift, is working its hardest to bring you down for good. Every shift ends. The next call never cares how the last one went for you. Insider Shift. Hit like, subscribe, and survive the very next shift right here with us.